Hey everybody, welcome to Office Hours here in the month of May. I am Harry Kerbo, the Senior Director of Paid Social. We got a really cool guest today, but well, I think he's neat anyway. I'll let you guys decide after this is over.
Kerbo.
Thanks everyone for
I
joining.
didn't know that that's how you said your last name. I've known you for 8 years. Kerbo,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
Kerbo.
what? Yeah, well, it's German, but we're Southern. So we
Okay.
just say it however we want to. It's like
Like
turbo.
Southern German, like Bavarian, or like
Yes, that's
of
where the
German
accent
descent
comes
from the
from.
south of the United States.
Yeah, no, this is I picked this up in Hamburg, this accent. So but yeah, so before we get going though, you guys let us know where you're at in the chat if you feel so inclined.
Yeah, where's everybody
And
logging in from?
yeah, know that we'll be recording this. It'll be added to the YouTube channel. So please follow us there or subscribe, mash that subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. And of course, I'm joined as always by James Terry, Wolf Creek, live from the Wolf Creek Lodge. He didn't get a new job there, though it
Dallas.
does look that way. James Terry and the most handsome man in Zoomage, and perhaps the world. We're still calculating the results. Minus Alvaro Rize, of course, who is on a pillar by himself. Dan Lott, my boss, and the most handsome man in the world. So how are you guys doing? What's on your mind today, if anything?
Doing
Doing
great,
well.
Harry.
Try not
Doing
to
really
talk at
good.
the same time, boys.
Oh, okay.
Dan, you jump in.
No, you go. You go, James. You have a lot to talk about.
A bit. I am excited. So hello everybody, James Terry. I am the senior director of paid search. So we handle all the search ads, the Google campaigns, buyer seller, things like that. And yeah, if you're one of the things I'm excited about, first of all, I'm hanging out at a big water park. And I told Dan, there is no way I am missing this webinar. I'm absolutely going to be here. Mostly because Dan was like, James, you're not going to be missing this webinar, right? And he said, no, sir. I'm logging in. It's going to be good. I don't know how the internet quality is. I don't know the video quality, but I'm here. But
Hey, you got to make that Great Wolf Lodge money, buddy.
yeah,
Thanks for joining.
And
I'll
so,
I might stop and greet people as they come in.
as
There's
far as it stands now, James, where is Great Wolf on the ranking order of water parks?
well, it's definitely better than anything in Paris. I prefer it to Italy for sure. In terms of just overall vacations, this is the place to be.
Okay.
Uh, I went to the ISS last year. Space was cool, but Great Wolf is the place to be for sure.
Nothing compares to the Great Wolf Lodge in Griffin, Georgia. Is that right?
It's
Whoa, you wish. That's where I'm
it's a
from.
little yeah, it's south on
Close.
85. I have no idea where I'm at. My
It's
wife sent me an
somewhere
address.
when I'm driving to Florida to go to Disney World. It's sort of like somewhere over there on the right, usually, isn't it?
You'll see an exit.
I
Yeah.
think you're talking
Anyway,
about Bucky's.
That's Russell. I know that one. I know that one really well, unfortunately.
Uh,
but we can come back to unless Dan, you want me to get into the digital ads and what I'm excited about, sync related and what people are logging in for. But Dan, if you want to jump in and introduce yourself, I can come back to the lead quality initiatives that I've been excited about the last several weeks, several months.
Yeah. Well, I'm the head of the lead generation department, Dan Lott. Let's see. We did have a planning session on this, so we could have had like an order of things when things are going to happen. So
we do, but it's off the rails. Should I
it,
just push
it's
forward?
I think we were going to talk about AI, right? That's the that was the
Well,
action
okay.
item, or are we ramping up to that? Is
Well,
that
so there
there's
had been
several
some.
different types of AI, as you know. In the year 2025, AI is pretty much the only thing people talk about, or at least a lot of people do.
Well, so I think what what we discussed in the planning was your recent article about Google's AI Max targeting and just how and just kind of throughout today how AI is, you know, changing things. So let me get us back on the rails here. Then start by introducing our guest, Matt Hart, and
Uh,
then we can get into your article.
uh,
Our guest is the VP of Sales here at CINC. Really awesome guy, and I mean, you when I think of a salesperson in my head, but like I was gonna say like a good salesperson. I'm still off the rails. This is like a lawyer joke. It's turning into a lawyer joke. I don't mean it that way, but you know, just Matt always does such a good job of matching, you know, the needs of what people have with the products that we offer, and does a great job of. I've learned a lot of just, you know, the right way to match products with people just by working with Matt over. Was it 8 years that you said?
Been 8 years now. Yeah. Almost 8.5.
Yeah, and all right.
6-year-old. I need that extra half year,
Eight
right?
and a
Like,
quarter.
not
How
just,
many months is that?
yeah,
That's
exactly.
144 months. um, did you come from Career Builder, or did
I
I
did.
make that up?
I did come from Career Builder. Yeah, I was at Career Builder for nearly 5 years. Started. I was selling. I was in national accounts, so which basically just means that I had like 5, you know, Fortune 500 accounts here in Atlanta, and then went on to run a mid market team there, which is where I kind of got my start in sales leadership, and then a few years later came over to CINC to run sales here.
I was vaguely sure you did, and the whole reason I said that was to say that was a real career builder for you.
It was. It we
That's
that
it.
Yes, no, that was great.
We can
That
move on now.
Yeah, okay. All
He's
right.
got 3 kids.
No,
That is a dad joke.
no,
3
but so
kids, this
you,
guy.
so yeah, you've been here at Sync for 8 years, 8.5.
Mhm.
You know, one of the things that I was interested in is, you know, I mean, so I've been here for almost 10 years, 10 years in 17 days. I'm sure you're planning my anniversary party, Dan. It's been
it was 5 years
saving up.
ago. We had the
Oh,
party.
dang. But, you know, so much has changed um, in Sync for me. You know, like how different is Sync now than it was 8.5 years ago when you came?
Oh man. Like there's a million different ways I could go with that. You know, I guess like I don't have random dogs just like coming and piddling in front of my desk anymore. Which was the thing that happened pretty regularly in the old office. But generally, I would say, you know, Sync has really been on a mission for the agent for the last for the entire time that I've been here, right? And I'm sure probably even a long time before that. But our goal as a company is always to keep the agent at the center of the transaction and empower the agent. And I think today's topic with AI is as pertinent as it could be in terms of highlighting the shift that we've seen over the last 8 years that I've been here, right? Always constantly working to be on the leading edge of development and technologies that are going to increase conversions and ultimately transactions for our clients. And so, you know, watching that AI revolution happen over the last few years, and I would say, you know, one of the things that really I think we could point out is that CINC is usually working on cutting edge stuff before our competitors are, right? We've had an AI solution as a part of our core foundational, you know, platform and product for the better part now of like 4 years. And I think, you know, a lot of our competitors in the competitive landscape have like everybody's got AI now, right? Like that's just part of if you don't have AI, you're so far behind that you may as well, right? Like, but
As well, what? No,
give,
I'm just kidding.
give up. Just
Well,
Close shop.
I will say too, if you guys have QA, if you guys have questions, hey Tom, definitely drop them in the chat. We'll be answering those. We got some questions from the submissions as well. So we'll be going through those. But Tom, any questions you have, please feel free to drop them in. That's great. That's what drives this. So
Yeah, and I would, I think I've spent weeks, hours, years now researching and understanding artificial intelligence, and I think something that's important to note is that it's really difficult with AI to just build something and deploy. Like, you can't spend 4 years building something, deploy it, and have it be its best version of it, right? Like, AI it's right. Machine learning and AI take time to develop because you need the inputs over time for it to get smarter. And so I think CINC always being at the cutting edge or the bleeding edge of those things, and really trying to get out ahead of the market and understand how to best leverage these new technologies to serve our clients is something that's been fundamental here in the time that I've seen, and what's evolved and changed over time.
Well, I think one of the coolest things with the AI is CINC's is, and maybe I'm making this up, but CINC's is proprietary. So ours is actually based on CINC's best practices. It's trained on the training that John Marone, Matt Feathers, Lance, Christine do at CINC-U. Come CINC-U.
Yeah.
Now I think I may be presenting at the next CINC-U. So if you're on the fence, now's the time. Tell the Great Wolf Lodge to be quiet, please, James.
Pipe down.
I'm trying to do a pipe down, Great Wolf Lodge.
The
Now,
people have questions, they need to get in their room, they need the Wi-Fi passwords.
one of the questions, and I do want to get into some of the questions now. We did get some questions around. So perfect. This was one of the questions I wanted to get into. But before I do that, we did get some questions around the support side of things. So, just different things around different functionality within the CRM. If you do have questions, we have a great support team. Please be sure to reach out to them. This is more going to be kind of higher level stuff around, the AI and the questions that you have, like Tom just put in there, the questions that we got submitted. But, we do have another benefit of CINC is the best support team in the industry. Reach out to them. They make me look a lot smarter than I am all the time, and I'm very grateful for them. But so one of the questions that we did get was around the AI. And so, like, I don't know if you guys can see it in the chat. Tom just put it in. Thanks for reprinting it, Tom. He says, I think Alex does a great job, but not at $200 a month for a social agency. So Tom, you had to cancel and rely on drip campaigns for touches every 4 to 6 weeks. So, I think that's a really interesting question. I don't know if there's a right answer to that. Like, I think this is really interesting feedback, because the way that I look at AI, right, at $200 a month is, if you set 1-2 appointments from that, I would feel like, if you were to buy an appointment, like a lead in an appointment stage, that's cheaper than that. And that's nurtured from, your brand, that's your specific lead. I don't know, just kind of throw that out there. Like, what do you guys think about Tom's question? I guess.
I think. Oh, sorry. You go ahead, Daniel. You looked.
I was about to say something. I don't want to interrupt you, but every one of these office hours, I have to mention the big sale in Charleston that we had. It was a CINC lead, $21 million, most expensive home sale in the history of Charleston. That was because of AI. It wouldn't have happened without AI. So again, like, is what Harry was, I think he said it, or he was thinking it. If you sell one house, because if AI helps you sell one house, it covers it. So that one, they probably got, I don't know what a commission on a $21 million house is, but it's more than $200 a month. So, or I guess that'd be, yeah. So yeah, you can think of it that way. So,
but I wonder if Tom, I think, so how big was that agency? I'm not sure exactly how large. I think it's a husband and wife team, but I'm not positive. I know the client. He's been a long-term
they're not huge.
client
They don't have
for
a big
9
ad
years.
spend. I think they're less than $1,000. I think they're like $900 in ads a month. So it's not like it's a huge $10,000 a month ad agency or anything. Or
That's really.
I I would just say, Tom, that like it's a very valid question, right? Like, first of all, like you are certainly not the only one that feels that way, right? We hear this oftentimes, right? We talk with literally thousands of agents every month on my side of the business, people who are looking at and evaluating technologies to help them scale their business. And I would say it's a question that comes up an awful lot. So here's what I would answer though, right? And especially right now in times when cash flow for agents is so critical, right? You've got to be really judicious about where you spend your dollars. And I think, you know, we're very sensitive to that, but also at the same time, you've got to pick where you think you are going to get the biggest bang for your buck, and your dollars spent. And every market's different, right? I'm not going to say that you know, everybody should have the exact same solution for their business, and that's right. That's why there's different options out there, and everybody's got to make that decision for their business. What I can do is tell you what we see across the board, across thousands of solo agents and teams, and you know, just in millions of leads generated. We know that having AI allows people to scale and work more leads, right? Like that's kind of the bottom line. The more lead, because at the end of the day, online lead generation for real estate is a math equation, and that's really what it boils down to, right? The numbers you're working with, right? Like if you can work more leads, you're gonna have better and more predictable revenue for your business. And that's why we're always encouraging people to spend more money on ads. Without AI, you wouldn't be able to work leads the way that you need to work leads at the level of effort, right? That a solo agent has, especially particularly for solo agents, right? Like you don't have infinite amount of time, right? Like that's your biggest constrained resource is your time. And so you have to have technology to help you work the leads the way that the leads need to be worked. Otherwise, you're going to see a drop off in conversion rates.
Well, I think for me, like the most interest, so like the way I look at this coming from more of a marketing standpoint and seeing, you know, the feedback of our posts on social media for CINC and, you know, other CRMs posts is it's this interesting like bridge of trust us, spend this money and you'll make money. And it's, you know, I need to know I'm going to make money before I spend the money, you know, and unfortunately the thing that it takes is time, you know, to close the leads. And so, and I manage the social side of client ad spend as well. So, you know, a lot of the time those leads take longer on average to close than, well, most of the time we would expect that those leads will take longer than on average to close than a lead from search. And so that I really am excited about the AI because, you know, I think there's less things that are falling through the cracks, you know, when an existing lead re-engages, for instance. What like the cool thing with the Charleston sale is that lead, they were on vacation, they Googled it at like 7:30, AI responded 5 minutes later. That agent woke up to a $22 million appointment on a Monday. You know, that'll cure the Mondays. So like, but I get it at the same time, you know, I it's interesting because, and we've talked about this, but it kind of puts, you know, CINC at odds with ourselves because we want, you know, we know AI converts, but it also has, you know, a cost associated for us and the development that goes into it, the research that goes into it. I mean, it's one of a kind, I think, you know, and I don't know, that's not an answer
I
to your
like what
question, Tom. That's a meandering down my thought process.
well, I really like what Matt said about it being a math equation, right? I think in terms of numbers a lot. And so for $200 a month, we're talking about 2,400 a year that goes into
Yes.
it. So what size home needs to be sold from an appointment set by AI? Like you were saying, if you get one appointment, 2 appointments out of the entire year, a $200,000 transaction covers the entire cost. Like, right? What's the math here? Like, you make a few $1,000s on a fairly, I don't want to say minor, but not a particularly aggressive goal in terms of transaction cost, right? To cover that. So the math equation makes a lot of sense to me. I like what Lane said on here in the chat, talking about it taking the place of an assistant. Harry, if you hadn't mentioned it, I was going to say the exact same thing, that that Charleston deal, that lead came in at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, right? I wasn't sure if Dan had mentioned that, but it's tough to be on the ball to the degree that you're going to respond to a lead personally. Like, even if you're willing to make the calls, if you're like, in the game, 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, you might not text them back immediately, but the AI is always, it's always on, it's always got there. And lastly, Eleanor had mentioned that she's canceled and re-engaged AI over the years. My question is, when was that most recent? Because the updates in CINC's AI, I mean, it has been ever evolving. And
Yeah, the AI
from
we
what we
had 4
had,
years ago is not the AI that we have now. And that was my point earlier, right? I was like, you
yeah,
that time for all of the data inputs to make the system smarter. And that's what ours has been doing for the last 4 years, right? We've been building and iterating off this thing for 4 years based on millions of leads, not just right, like millions and millions and millions of leads, right? So by this point, we've got billions of data points telling us what works and what doesn't work, helps us to refine, to optimize for conversion, right? And so that's what enables our agents to scale their operation, because now they can work twice as many leads or 3 times as many leads. And at the end of the day, it is a math equation, right? And so you have to determine for yourself what level of investment you're comfortable with, right? But if you've got, whatever, you pick your dollar amount, right? Like, it's just a math equation, plug it in. We can help you do that, right? Like, our account manager, your account manager should be able to help you plug in the numbers and go, hey, if you invest this much in lead gen with our tools and our system, this is the output you should get, right? And it really is predictable, because we've done it over millions and millions and millions of leads, thousands and thousands of real estate agents, tens of thousands of real estate agents. We see this on an annual basis. We continually are optimizing to get those higher conversions and building that right into the system for our clients.
Yeah, and I think I first off, I love what Tom said. I agree. If you slay a dragon, everyone eats. That's great.
I love the one. That's really well worded. Yeah.
That's awesome. But I like, that's what I love about these office hours. Like, I think this is very valid, feedback. And like, Tom, I wouldn't be talking to you guys about this. This is all very interesting feedback. And I say that I always tell people CINC is an iterative company. Like, a lot of times when you should see the way things used to be from time to time of it gets better in steps. And I think, we're constantly improving, we're constantly innovating. So this feedback is very valid and, great. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a right answer. Like, that's just kind of more.
I love Gian's comment here too.
Yeah.
You saw that one.
Yeah. So, and I think that's, like, if you get someone who's ready to go see a home right then, you've got the chance of getting them on, easily getting them on the phone. I think it's the person that is 10 months down the road that this is even more beneficial for, because the AI is not going to miss that action that someone takes on the site. Whereas, and it's not just doing it once as a human, it's doing it every time, and that's.
And if you've been a client for CINC of any amount of time, right? Like, at some point, it gets really difficult to work all of the leads that you're getting on a monthly basis and all of the leads in your database, right? Like, how do you do that without something that's there? Like, because you don't know to keep your eyes on all of it. It's really tough. And that's, I think, one of the other things that really sets CINC apart from everybody else is like, we're gonna bubble up and continue to work that opportunity, but bubble it up for you so that it becomes like we're waving our hands at you saying, hey, this lead wants to talk to you, right? It's super, super obvious because it's you know, that's our agent ready leads, right? Like they're waving their hand saying, hey, I'm ready to talk to an agent now.
Well, and this has been the biggest shift, I think, in my 10 years here at CINC. It's gone from, yes, it's a numbers game, get as many new leads as you can, call them right away, to it is still a numbers game. You still need to do that, but you can increase your numbers by harvesting. Ooh, that's a creepy word, but you know what I mean? Like continuing to prospect to these older leads. And actually, these older leads are probably more valuable because they've been in the system, they've been being nurtured. You know, they said they were ready to buy in a year 10 months ago, you know, and now they're coming back from a property alert. Or so, you know, I think the AI, the focus of not just the follow-up, but I think where we're headed with the AI too, of, you know, our main goal is to collect leads and surface people that want to speak to you, and, you know, to collect leads and help you. It's to streamline this process. It's to, you know, cut through this numbers game. Mary Jo, I do see you're ready to set appointment. I think, I think you mean agent ready. Not the case. Not sure why AI says that in the instances, and that is not the case. I will say, so this is definitely a good question for support as well, because they'd be more versed in it than I would be. But I have, you know, seen AI set a lead to agent ready when there's a question that needs human input. You know, so I think really just agent ready a lot of the time is alerting you that, hey, this is a good time for you to step in and text with the lead. I don't know if you were on last month, but we had Chelsea Scott and Tamara Ward, and they talked about a lot about the AI messaging, you know, when to take over, that kind of stuff. So that's a really interesting one if you have other questions around that. Any thoughts on Mary's comment? Yeah.
Harry, you might have the exact numbers. Matt, you might know this. Agent ready leads get set to appointment status, or like appointment set status in the dashboard at like 8 times the rate of other leads. It was something like that. We had run these numbers at one point when looking at how valid and how valuable is the agent ready status when it gets to you, that kind of thing. So that's not to say that it's 100% of the time when it's agent ready or ready to set an appointment.
Agent ready doesn't mean
exactly
someone clicks set an appointment with an agent now. It just means, right, that there's a criteria that does go into what those leads mean, right? And to Harry's point, it's best to talk to your account manager and make sure you understand all the details on because the talk track might be a little bit different depending on which one you're talking to, right? And that's right. Like at the end of the day too, you've got to match the right scripts with the right leads, right? The better you can understand what kind of lead you're dealing with, the better your opportunity to convert that lead to businesses.
I have set up for more info. Okay. Tom, when you say the views, are you referring to like property views, or just, I want to make sure you're being or that I'm understanding what you're saying. That's interesting, Gene, with the far right views. Okay, thank you. But that's interesting with the retirement capital. I remember you're in Florida. I've seen your name. I think you are. I'm just going out on limbs today, and I'm too fat for that. So, all right, awesome. So you are in Florida. But that's really interesting. That's really interesting with the importance of the AI in just a longer sales cycle. That's kind of like what we were talking about on the social side as well. So any more thoughts on that? Dan, you look poignant and poised. And oh so handsome. Do you have any?
Thank you. do I have any what?
Cookies or
Listen.
thoughts on that question?
No, but also just the fact that it's getting better, as Matt said. But also there's some big features that they're working on. Like a couple months ago, Jeff, our product head of product, said that we're gonna be having voice AI in a little while, and that will be something. That'll be very interesting to see what that does. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm extremely excited about that.
Yeah, I've heard of a model or proof of concept on the voice AI, and it is pretty slick. It's going to be good when they're ready to make that move.
Well, but again, it's all about, and all right, so I'm going to go back to that time that I filmed a 12-hour sales training one-on-one with the sales trainer. And he talked about, it's all about features, advantages, and benefits, right? Like there's just the benefit of this all is this entire system is designed to help guide you in your day of, these are the people that want to talk to me. These are the people that I'm still trying to prospect, and just prioritize that, And I guess, so like one of the things I'm always interested in, Matt, and I think you'll have an interesting perspective on it. So like what, this feels like such a salesy question, such a softball, but like what really does set CINC apart? Like what's better about CINC than, like, really?
Yeah.
Like the AI to me, I think is much better than a lot of the competitors I've seen. That hasn't always been the case, but
Sure.
now it is.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you?
Yeah, there was like, I can recall times, in the not terribly distant past where there were some major omissions on the CRM side for us, right? Like being able to send like birthday reminders was something like for like the first 4 years I was here, we were like, I don't understand, why can we not do this basic thing that every other CRM can do? I mean, that's no longer the case. I would say you're going to be hard pressed to find a feature or a function that CINC does not do, that everybody else does, and at this point doesn't do better. But
What's your favorite? Matt?
my favorite what feature?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be AI. Like I don't.
Okay.
Other than AI, Matt, come on.
Dan is bored with your AI talk.
Other than AI, so what sets us? So I can tell you, like this is what I have found in my 8 years in this industry. What I found is your CRM is only as good as the leads you're putting in it. So
there you
this
go.
is what Dan
There you go.
wanted.
That's the right
This is
answer,
what Dan
Matt.
it may sound like I'm pandering to my hosts, but the truth is the CRM is only as good as the leads you're putting in it. And if you're putting garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. What I will tell you is CINC's lead generation is hands down. I know this is not an education that you guys need, but we've talked to people who've gotten leads from every other system. We've hired people from every other company that competes with us, and every last one of them say CINC's lead generation is hands down better than anything else out there. And it's the hyper local approach that we take. It's the example that Dan just used on the level of micro targeting we can do even within those hyper local ad groups that are driving these incredible results for our clients, right? And so, the way that we're doing it is different than the way everyone else is doing it, right? Generally speaking, most companies are out there doing zip code based marketing. They're putting a pin in, doing 30-mile radius based marketing. CINC has an entirely different way of going out and maximizing our clients' ad budgets based on the markets that they want to serve, driving higher value transactions through targeting certain areas and features within properties, that sort of thing. So we've got the ability to go a lot deeper than everyone else, I think, and that's really the proprietary technology we've built to manage ad spend and bids on Google, for instance. These are tools that other companies just don't have, and so I think that's really what sets us apart.
Well, I
other
think
than
that's the key thing is it's not a replicatable, an easily replicable. We'll edit that.
hard
It's
to
not easy to
reproduce.
duplicate the tools that are running in the background. And so it's not, a lot of times with the competition, it's like, oh, you're putting ads on Google business pages. Okay, we can do that now. This is a decade of research, a decade of tech work to allow us to do things. Here we go.
And
Sync's built different. Low key, high key, Sync's built different.
And over the years, and I've been at Sync. We were talking to how long everyone's been around and stuff like that. We've seen when the client marketing team, and I'll touch on this very briefly because Matt's here from the sales perspective, and I do have a question for him. But we've seen that when the client marketing team and the lead generation partners with our tech team, like the change and the impact to our lead quality, our cost per lead, the value of the leads to our clients is not just the next evolution of what's changed, but when we really partner with tech, it becomes like this more of a revolution of what we're able to produce. I'm looking back to when we created our automation to create niche ad groups and really get specific and tailored into long tail keywords is the term we're using, but people that are searching gated communities or high rises in Las Vegas, and we can tailor the ad copy, the keyword itself, the landing page that we're driving, and add all that together so that people are finding what they're looking for with as few clicks as possible. But also Google's relevance is it drives down the cost because Google sees all those things as so relevant to each other, and it's all so tailored together. That was one huge impact of our team really collaborating with tech to build that tool internally, specifically for what we needed. And right now, what we're working on with tech, and our team has been looking into this, we've been wanting this, is to link the AdWords campaigns where the ads are actually run and how we manage them in Google to the leads that are generated in the dashboard. So that way we'll be able to know on our end, not just what was the cost per lead, the conversion rate, like data like that, but we'll actually be able to know, was this a real verified lead, and which of these keywords, which of the ad copy, we'll be able to run tests on our side to focus on real verified, and eventually to focus, and this is why I bring all of this up to the group of clients, eventually to focus on not just what lead gets generated, but which leads that get generated are contacted, which are get to an appointment set status, like where in the pipeline status that we can focus on. And I say all that to say, using the pipeline and setting those leads when you do contact one to set it to contacted, when you do set an appointment or make an appointment to update that stuff will really be valuable, not just from an engagement perspective, but it'll be very valuable from a lead generation perspective so that we can focus on generating more appointments leads so that we know what terms and what keywords and what niches that we're, these hyper local targeting that we're using, what's actually bringing value, not just bringing in leads. So I'm excited about that next big focus for lead generation as that question came up. But Matt, while we've got you here, one of my questions is, what have you been working on most like recently? Like, what are you excited about where we're going? What's your, the last 3 months, 6 months, a year, like as the vice president of our sales team, what are you excited about the direction that you're taking the team?
Yeah, so we're working right now. We've been working on really something pretty transformative, I think. I think the competitive landscape has really started to change a little bit in our space, in that you're seeing a lot fewer sort of like all-in-one solutions, like CINC offers, where you're doing IDX, lead gen, and CRM all together in one. And you're seeing a lot more of like piecemeal, right? So like you're going to see combinations of technologies that people are running as their solution that require multiple integrations, things like that. And so everyone knows in the tech world, the more like multiple integrations just means more potentials for failure, right? Like where things can break is really what I mean. And then the two companies have to go running around trying to figure out, well, is it broken on your end or is it broken on your end? And that takes time to resolve. Meanwhile, clients are sitting in the middle going, when's my stuff going to get back up? I've got business I need to do. But you've seen this sort of like shift towards piecemeal solutions to because everybody's there's the new thing that comes out and I want to bolt that onto the thing that I'm using over here that I like, and I don't want to shift and change all over everything. And then you've got companies that used to be all in one that are now breaking it up and go, well, you can just buy this if you only want this piece, or this if you only want this piece. I would say that CINC is, when everybody else is zigging, CINC is zagging, right? Like, and that's really, I think, what we're working on right now is something that's going to be pretty transformative, which is an all-in-one solution. I'm just going to tease a little bit. I'm not going to go too in depth with it, but where CINC has, charged for these additional technologies like AI, Tom brought up, as an extra $200. We're working on an all-inclusive platform where we're even going to provide access to the leads, and we're going to do it at a lower monthly cost than what you see on our traditional platform. And so the idea is that we're building out what's more like a real partnership program. I'll call it that for now, where CINC is really partnering with you as the tech extension of your business, if you will, right? And we're investing in your business because we're so confident in our ability to generate leads and your ability to close those leads and turn them into transactions, that we're willing to put our money where our mouth is, right? And so we're going to invest back into our clients. We're going to build an all-inclusive platform of all of those best practices that we know give agents the absolute best chance of success. That's all being built into one platform. You're going to see more about that over the coming months with CINC. It's something that we're really excited about, and so I can sort of tease that a little bit, but that's what's coming.
I think I'm excited about that because it really aligns, like kind of what I said earlier, it really aligns both our clients with us of, hey, here's all the things that, because what CINC has that others don't have, aside from, like the lead targeting, that kind of stuff, is just the access to data. And I mean, we can see the entire journey of a lead. From the creation of that lead to how many calls it takes for them to answer the phone, to when they set their appointment, when they go under contract. I mean, if you use deals, we can see the property value, and that all goes back into what we then put out there to generate more leads. So I think that, that access to data is really going to be it's what, sets us apart from, just because someone thinks something's going to work, we know exactly what does work. And, this is what you should do. And, CINC's, I see a lot of ads for pay at closing kind of companies, and usually they haven't been around for very long. And there's probably a reason for that. And they're usually not around for very long after that. CINC has been around for 13 years.
And the reason for that, though, Harry, is right. Like Zillow owns like the eyeballs, right? Like that's what Zillow's done really well. Is they've built the eyeballs, and the thing is, it's a viable business model. It's great for Zillow. It's less great for agents who are paying 40% of their commissions to Zillow after the fact. And when you look at a cost per sale analysis between something like CINC and something like Zillow Flex, you're going to see that Zillow is astronomically more expensive and much, much more difficult to scale the business with, right? But
the trade-off there is time. The closings exactly, will come more quickly. That's what
you're paying for. You're paying for someone else to do the effort of lead conversion ultimately, right? Like, and so the question is, how much do you want to pay for someone else to do that, right? And we think that there should be something in between, right? Like there's the traditional sync model, and then there's the flex model where they're taking nearly half of your money. We think there should be something that sits somewhere in the middle there, right? Like where you can enable people with the tools and technology to be successful and scale their business in a meaningful way, but not take, 40-45% and they're moving. I hear people saying that they think they're moving even higher than that in the future. So, it just depends on what level of work you, the agent, want to put into it. But again, and this is the point with technology and AI and using automation to help you manage a larger volume of opportunity, which is what gives you the scalability, right? I could probably talk about that for hours in and of itself as a topic, but
Well, I mean, the short-term trade-off or whatever is time when you're talking about like a sync lead versus a Zillow lead, but the long-term trade-off is dependence.
yeah,
I mean, you are dependent on that provider, whereas with sync, you are working leads generated specifically for you,
right.
and you have a control of what you spend with us and what leads cost. And so I do want to get to Tom's question. We've been keeping him on. It's like not saying the score in a radio broadcast of a basketball game till we come back from break. So Tom, thanks for hanging out. And again, let me know if the way I understand your question, Tom. You said, can you discuss how you may limit zip codes or markets for other agencies in an area and leads possibly repeating to another agency? So my understanding of that is like oversaturation. How do we make sure that we are not oversaturating a market and either generating the same lead across multiple sites, or I guess driving up the cost per lead for other clients?
Can I answer this question, Harry? I haven't really
I
answered any
guess.
questions today, so
I guess, Dan.
I want to be involved.
Yes. So he
Um,
says yes by not having 20 agencies using sync in the Asheville area. Right. He just said that. So.
Okay. All right. So, I guess our opinions on this topic have changed over the years. I've been here from the beginning, but we were a lot more worried about that in the early days, and that is because the way because of the way Google's ads were run. There's something called the I guess it was impression share. So we would do this very complicated analysis of like based on a normal, if somebody's searching homes for sale in Asheville, like what are the odds that somebody is going to see a sync ad? And then because of the way they used to have like 2 rows of ads, and so you could see the same, technically you could see the sync ads like 6 versions of it based on the thing. It's like, ooh, that's
That's when they put the ad copy above the fold, right? Or was that? I don't
no,
even
that's
remember.
when they had
Changed
the
so
column,
much.
on
On
the
the
side for
side.
desktop.
That's right.
Yeah,
That was before they
old school.
kind of switched to the mobile first interface. So anyway, so that we used to turn down a lot of, much to Matt's chagrin. We would say, no, we're full. We can't handle anymore. And then I don't think Asheville was ever like that, but there was some, I forget.
Phoenix was, Las Vegas was, Miami at a time
parts of Northern Virginia.
So
yes.
And now we don't really, we're not as concerned about that. And the reason is because having if another person, signs up in Asheville, that just means they're going with sync as opposed to going with one of our competitors. So money is money. It's an ad spend is ad spend. Whoever's spending the money, there's nothing unique about sync in terms of the spending of the money and like, oh yeah, by having another sync person, they're all independent. They're not, one thing that's very important is that, not to get too technical, is that each of the each client at CINC is its own separate account. So they have no relationship to anybody else. If they could be set up, and I assume some competitors would have it set up so that they would be campaigns versus accounts, in which case you would negatively impact the other clients. But because we have it set up as accounts, they're completely separate entities. Google doesn't know that they're both run by CINC. So it's not like, okay, they're not rotating. It's like, okay, so, well, site A can go now. Okay, now we're going to write, now the next time somebody searches for that same keyword, we're going to have site B. Like that, it's not like that. It's because they're completely separate entities. Like if we have a Boomtown or Bull Trail or whoever it is, or whatever, one of the competitors, it's the same. So it doesn't really impact it. And we don't see like adding another client hurting what it doesn't affect like the cost per click or the cost per lead. So anyway, so I think we were worrying a little, we justifiably were worried about it because there would be some weird searches that like we bid on some weird search terms that nobody else bids on. So in the early days, we would have like these weird searches we do. And it's like, oh, these are all stake ads. That looks really bad. Now that doesn't happen. And before it was an issue. Now it's not to be.
Is there a TLDR?
Well,
Is there a TLDR of your answer, Dan?
Well, one of the more interesting Google searches, is the evolution of the search engine results page, and just how ads have been more and more ingrained into normal search results. And it's the same thing with social. That's why Facebook bought Meta. And it's why Facebook bought bought Thread, sorry. It's why Facebook bought Instagram or Meta, who knows, whatever. But it's like, the reason that they're doing that is to expand the eyeballs on and to have more places to show ads. And overall, it drops the lead costs, if you have it managed properly. And I think, one of the other things that, one of those articles about AI Max and Google pushing more ads for AI, more AI generated ads, and Meta, Mark Zuckerberg just mentioned the term infinite creative, which means like instead of people making ads, you can still make ads, but you would just go to Meta and say, find people that are interested in a real estate CRM, and they would do the rest. I mean, I think to me, that's always dangerous. The more control that you cede to the billing person, the company controlling the costs, but they're going to make that easier and easier and easier. And, I think someone with campaigns that are managed like CINC's will benefit from that as things get more cookie cutter and less people know what they're doing because they're using AI. I don't know. Is that a crazy take?
I don't know. Okay, well, I wanted to talk about that. That was a good point, Terry.
Oh, you weren't listening. You stopped listening to me.
Yeah, well, no, I was. I did really agree with what you said, so I was gonna gloss over that.
Oh, okay.
No, well, I guess to a point, like what the goal of Google and the goal of Facebook for their advertising is to have
Meta. It's Meta, Dan.
It's for Meta and Google is for everybody to be average, so everybody is marginally successful. So what our job in our department is to be better than average, and we have successfully done that. And so, but this AI is
good, never rest.
AI is another way that we're going to make things average. Okay, so we're going to make it as easy as possible where everybody, like at some point, like for Meta, you could just say, I want leads, real estate lead, or just something like really like that. And you're like, well, we don't have to do any work. This is great. And I perform marginally well. Okay. But with us, like some of the stuff we do, like, so Google this week announced something called search AI for search, AI Max for search or something like that. And then I guess just this morning I read another article about how they were discussing it last year and how they're like an internal Google email about it, and it's like, okay, yeah, all right, I see what you're trying to do here. So it's the they try to take away like as much levers for the they try to take away the levers of the kind of the experts so that everybody does well. And so we're always hesitant about like arbitrarily turning on any sort of AI or any sort of I don't know, like
Well,
any of the automation that they do, because we're able to beat the market by not doing that. And but some of them have the benefits. And I was just noticed that in the internal email, they had the same number of like, oh yeah, you're gonna get like 27% more leads for roughly the same amount of cost per lead. It's like, okay, and then you said that same number with this other thing. It's like, okay, maybe just 26. You've tested the fact that 27 is a nice number that people like to use in terms of improvement, because it doesn't say anything really. But anyway, long story short, I guess one of the good things about CINC is that, you know, we will test it and we will see how it affects accounts, how it affects lead flow, how it affects the quality of the leads, the quantity of the leads. One of the things we do as part of like we mentioned the ad group creation tool, we create a lot of landing pages that are hyper focused. So that plays well with AI, because those will be the landing pages that AI would send the visitor to. If our competitors don't have those landing pages, they won't get those searches. So that's what happens now, and that could happen in the future. That would happen in the future if we decided to do it. We generally don't like hop on the thing like the first week because this is great. Google says it's gonna be great. Let's flip it on. No, we'll test it, and then see like, oh yeah, 6 months down the road or whatever, we'll flip it on if it works.
right, like that's so like Meta's a business. Meta makes money by having eyeballs on Meta. Meta wants ads to be engaging because that's what keeps people on Meta. So by kind of taking out those expert ad creators and targeters and making it more accessible, like the question I ask myself is, will that make the content more engaging? Maybe, because AI is going to generate it, but I'm not sure. And so the only reason that they would do it is because you're going to have to spend more money to get the same results using their guided, like they now control how expensive something is. And you need someone that is looking at things like what RLSA, you know, when the Google rep came over and talked for 3 days about something that we had tested, and it didn't, and that was just his KPI to get people on RLSA. Like they are a business. And so like, yeah, I want to play, you know, we want to play nice with Meta and Google, but ultimately we probably at this point, like we probably know a lot more about it than they know, the reps that we talk to, you know, because
Oh yeah.
we've been through so many things and tested so many things. And I think like that's the point I make of, yeah, if AI Max is great, we will absolutely use it. It has to focus on quality, not only quantity, you know. But I think it's important to have the experts there. So I have one random question before we go.
For Matt?
How random?
No, it's not for Matt. No.
Why the vest? Why do you always wear a vest? What?
Because he's cold right here.
It is actually about, it's more function than it is a form. If I get the thing about it gets cold sometimes in the office, so
Yeah.
I wear that. But if I get hot, I can just unzip it and then the core cools down. And
Can't do that with a jacket.
like, how many vests do you own? And I'll ask myself that question. So the answer is
Not enough.
17. I own 17 different vests.
17
Wow.
vests. Do you have a vest closet, like one spot for?
I do have a vest section.
You'd have to, yeah.
Is that why you moved recently? Because you
Yeah.
needed a room for your vest?
Space for all
Schools and vest space.
Vest.
That's why most people move.
Well,
All right.
I have in full transparency, I have 17 because it's possible that over the course of time, the fit of my vests has changed, and I go in
Oh.
between. So right
Your
now, I'm kind of
vest,
like in the middle section of my vests.
your vest are
Yeah.
shrinking.
I'm
I
trying to work
understand.
my way back to my like,
Summer vests.
yeah, summer vest.
Yeah. All right. I have a random thought.
Rando question.
This is
Yeah.
for Dan and James.
Ah,
Um, so with all the hyperlocal ads that are created, okay, and search is based on a cost per click basis, are there more does this question even make sense? Are there more ads that generate clicks or don't generate clicks in the sync portfolio? Like, is it niched down so much that there are ads that are so specific they may get 2 or 3 clicks, and those are going to be really good leads?
yeah,
But
we
do we
get
have more?
probably a third of the ad groups we create never get any clicks at all. And so, but if yeah, as you said, yeah,
They spend no money.
if they do, then they're good, and it doesn't cost anything. So
But that
Right. We
points
have
to
them there to
the
be
automation.
eligible. Yeah, they're there to be eligible if someone does look for that and it's very relevant. And the campaign, the account overall looks good because whether or not it gets clicked, the keyword, the landing page, and the ad are all still tied to the same point of interest. So Google still sees it there as very relevant. So it improves the quality score of the rest of the account just for it being there and having been created. And it took us 3 seconds to build it with the automation. So there's that value. I would say we definitely have more keywords that don't get searched or that don't ever, like throw an ad because we have just millions and millions of keywords in the campaign and a classic 80-20 or even 90-10 rule, right? Like 10% of the terms get 90% of the traffic for the most part. But because of that, yeah, a lot of the ads for those keywords, when it is very specific to waterway access in whatever city, might not get searched very often. But when it does, that guy's finding what they're looking for. We're there for them.
Well, and a sync client is likely going to get that click.
Right. When that search happens, someone else or, other campaigns that are out there in the ecosystem will not be nearly as relevant, and they certainly won't have any history to it. So there might be 3 ads that show. And in fact, while our ad might be at the top and likely to get that click because of its relevance, we'll be paying less for that click than the person in the second or third position would anyway. So we can have a better position at a lower cost because of how relevant it is. So maybe that answers your random question.
No, that's I've never thought of that before. It's like I was in the shower just now. All right, and with that,
I'm
feels like
glad
it's
to
time
hear
to
that.
sign off. We should all get clean. Thanks everybody. Thank you so much, Matt. Like this is really cool, man.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Ooh, Eleanor. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's say
the
something in
best
the middle.
way to talk about your account is talk to your account manager,
And we'll set that
and
up.
you have a dedicated advertising manager for your account. So they will talk to your account manager, and they'll set up a meeting with your advertising manager.
Thanks, Miriam.
Yeah, Eleanor, absolutely. We will we will reach out to you. We definitely want to talk through that, and just that's one of the benefits of Sync is that you have an actual human,
Right.
experienced person managing your marketing that is, goes out in public and everything. And so he can talk to people, he or she, they can talk to people. We let them,
And I feel so safe.
eat in the common area, all that good stuff. So we will have someone reach out to you and talk about that. Thank you so much for reaching out to us here. Thank you for joining. And whenever you have that, please reach out to the account manager because they will definitely set up the call. But we'll reach out here after this. And thanks everybody so much. Thanks so much to everybody else for joining. This is never the biggest webinar that we do at Sync, but it always has some of the best I mean, people get on and stay on, and we appreciate that. People interact. We appreciate that. So thank you so much. Thanks for being with CINC. We love you.
Thank you for hanging out with us, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, brother.
James, avoid the pink eye at Great Wolf Lodge. And yeah,
One time.
one time.
All right.
Just because you're batting 1,000. All right, everybody, have a great day and a great week. Thanks for being with CINC, and we will talk to you next month. See
So
ya.
long.